Well, let me answer that on two levels, just because I'm an investigator, I'm a researcher, and I want to simplify it. And I now know that the closer that I get to truth, the simpler it has to be. The more complex we make it, the more we're going to analyze. And we can't get there in analysis, because analysis is trying to figure it out. Now, there's nothing wrong with analyzing things, but when it comes time to create or to change, you got to lay that down. So I think from a very practical and experience-based model, that people have to begin to embrace knowledge and information before they get about doing anything. So I'm not so interested in labels, NLP, hypnosis, because I think people get stuck in trying to create a limited model. Now, what I love is truth, and there are similarities. Whether you're talking about NLP, or you're talking about the Bible, or the Quran, or you're talking about hypnosis, there are elements of those things that have helped people. Now, I don't study NLP, although I'm invited to NLP conferences to explain the neuroscience and biology of personal change and transformation. I started my journey studying hypnosis and hypnotherapy because what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. And when you teach people or help people get beyond their analytical mind, now you enter the operating system where you can begin to reprogram a person. So there are elements of all of those things that are pieces of important truths. But I wouldn't categorize them, because the moment I say NLP, the moment I say chakra, the moment I say hypnosis, the moment I say Jesus, the moment you say Kabbalah, the moment you say something, you're going to divide an audience. Because some people are going to say, oh, I tried that, it didn't work, I don't even know what that means. So I'm very, very aware of all of that, and I'm very particular in the language that I use, because I don't want people to categorize that. I want it to be in a realm where they can say, well, that's kind of like this, or that's kind of like what Jesus said, or that's kind of like what I learned in NLP, or I think I heard that in the Kabbalah somewhere, or I saw that on, the History Channel. It doesn't matter. I don't want to take this and put it in a box. I want to keep evolving it. I want to keep changing it. There's similarities, truth, or threads that in history that have been laid. And I go to great measures to not categorize it, because the moment you put it in a box, you're running it through your neurological network of the past, and then all of a sudden you diminish its effect. So I keep it fresh. I never use any of those words or languages, because those words were great 2,000 years ago. Those words were consistent with the language of 5,000 years ago. And I've been at religious conferences where I've been invited and watched great religious scholars argue about a word, argue about the meaning of a word. So after an hour, I'll say to them, well, let's make up a new word. Well, let's make up a new word that everybody can agree on. Forget the old word. Let's come up with a new word that everybody can agree on. Now, that's a more important conversation, don't you think, than the conversation of the past. So for me, I'm not so interested in talking about history. I'm interested in making history. And this is a time in history where it's not enough to know. This is a time in history to know how. And you could be black, you could be white, you could be old, you could be young, you could be sick, you could be vegetarian, you could be in shape, you could be out of shape, you could be rich, you could be poor, you could be successful, you could have never, ever had any experience in meditation or personal transformation. It doesn't matter. I've seen it on all shapes, all sizes, all colors, all cultures, sick people, healthy people, young people, old people. All you got to do is apply the formula. That's it. Nobody's excluded from the phenomenon. And my job is to not create any exclusivity. My job is to create community. And science creates community. It's the language. It's the contemporary language we use. Because people come to our workshops for all different reasons. Some people come because they're sick. Some people come because they want more money. Some people want a new job, a new opportunity, a new career, a new relationship. Some people want the mystical. The people come for all kinds of reasons. To me, I don't care. What I care about is that they latch on to a vision and they learn how to create. Whatever drives them to that elegant moment where they're so present and so passionate about what they want, and they have a clear intention, a clear vision, a coherent brain, and they have an elevated emotion combined with it, that they create heart coherence. And now they're broadcasting a whole new energy into the field. And whatever we broadcast into the field is our experiment with destiny. So I want people to know the how. Because we have plenty of people that have made millions and millions of dollars that were living in the backseat of their car or filed bankruptcy. We have plenty of people that were stage 4 cancer, serious health conditions that are healed. But really, people think they come for those reasons, but we come for wholeness. That's why we come. That when we feel so whole and so happy with ourselves, so connected to something greater, if you feel wholeness, it's impossible for you to want. How can you want when you're whole? When you're whole, you feel like you have everything. So I want people to reach that point where they feel so whole that they no longer want, and that's when the magic happens. Teaching them that allows them to understand that when they come back to their senses, they open their eyes. They're not looking for the experience. They feel like it's already happened. And if you feel like it's already happened, why would you be looking for it? Then, if your body is conditioned emotionally into that future, you're not separate from the energy of your future. You're connected to it. But the moment you get in traffic and you start getting angry, you get on the line at the bank and you start getting impatient, or you're sitting in a staff meeting and you start judging a coworker, you just disconnected from the energy of the future, and now you're back to the energy of your past, and you've done nothing wrong. You just lost your connection to the future. Now, the importance of that is to notice that you're disconnected. And if you say to me, well, that person made me feel this way and think this way, I'd say, oh my gosh, you're back to the unconscious program of being a victim in your life. The victim is saying that someone or something is controlling how I think and feel. But a person who's producing outcomes in their life, all of a sudden they say, wow, the way I'm thinking and feeling is creating outcomes in my life. Now I'm a creator in my life, and now I believe less that I'm a victim of my life. Point one. Point number two is that people think that they want certain things because they're experiencing lack. And so they have to go about becoming the very person. So then, if we reframe it and you say, oh, I really want to be wealthy, I want all my needs met, and I'll say, really, why do you want to be wealthy? And they'll say, because I want freedom. I'd say, okay, well, let's focus on freedom. So now the person understands the sponsoring thought or the emotion. Why would you wait for your wealth to feel free? That's the Newtonian model of reality, of cause and effect. Waiting for someone or something out there to take away this emptiness or lack. And what if I'm feeling this emotion is influencing certain thoughts, and how I think and feel creates my life. If I'm living in lack, I'm not going to create anything new. But if I say to you, hey, when you become that person, once you become it, then your reality is going to reorganize itself. Instead of living by cause and effect, let's teach you how to cause and effect. So then, the person then is no longer interested in getting something in their environment. When they realize it's about who they become. And all of a sudden now the emphasis or the interest is in becoming that person. And we have a week with those people. And I want them to walk as it, sit as it, stand as it, lay down as it. I want them to get in the habit of walking from their room to the ballroom. It's become the new habit. That's why when we do our work, we're doing sitting meditations, we're doing standing and walking meditations, we're doing lying down meditations. I want it to become a new habit. I want them to become that person. So then, this happens thousands of times. People come for certain reasons. They come to heal their disease. And once they heal their disease, they realize it was never about healing their disease. You know what it was? It was about unlearning breaking the habit, deprogramming, becoming conscious of their unconscious thoughts, becoming aware of their automatic habits and behaviors, noticing that they've been living in unworthiness and guilt for the last 25 years, but they're so used to living by that feeling, they don't even know it's guilt. It just feels like who they are. So point number 2 is that becoming that person requires you to stop being the old person. That's the work. And so when people come with a passion and enthusiasm to overcome that old self, they're going to understand then that people who live in the past are asleep in the present, and they have to die. That old person has to die. And the dying of that old personality is an uncomfortable process. But if you apply the formula, when you're in that uncomfortable process, you will literally begin to become somebody else. So when they start becoming that person, they'll say, I thought I wanted wealth, but I really don't want wealth, I want this. And all of a sudden, here come the synchronicities, the opportunities, the serendipities, the coincidences, the wonderful, wonderful events start unfolding in their life, and they're going to say to you, I'm not doing anything. Because they took care of the past personality, because your personality creates your personal reality. Your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So then if they're no longer thinking the same way, no longer acting the same way, no longer feeling the same way, they're thinking differently, they're acting differently, they're feeling differently, and they will return back into their lives, they're able to maintain that modified state of mind and body. That's the new habit. They're embodying that energy. Then all of a sudden, people in their life are going to say, something's different about you. Something happened to you, because the person's not showing up in the unconscious, predictable habit of themselves. And they're outstanding because they're not reacting emotionally. They've overcome that sitting in their meditations. They're no longer judging. They took care of those circuits, the hardwired programs. They're no longer blaming or complaining or making excuses because they sat for 2 hours and I let them sit in that emotion and those habits until they finally got beyond them. Now, that's the work. So that person that they've had to conquer, that person they've had to overcome, that they had to become conscious of so they would not go unconscious again, the side effect of that is self-love. The side effect of that is a level of satisfaction with yourself that allows you to be satisfied with others. And people who judge themselves will judge others. People who hate themselves will hate others. People who are impatient with themselves will be impatient with others. People who abuse themselves will abuse others. People who love themselves will love others. People who feel a gratitude for their effort will have gratitude authentically in their life. People who are joyful because they sat in the fire and something changed are going to naturally be joyful, not because they need a car or a wardrobe or a vacation to feel that. They feel joyful because they really feel joyful. It's not coming from out there, it's coming from in here. They will be joyful in their lives, and it'll be real.